With the next big expansion to Throne of Liberty just around the corner, there are quite a few things you should really be preparing for. And one of them is collecting gear that you need to trait your new Tier 2 gear. As you may already be aware, Tier 2 will basically bring the same system we currently have where we obtain gear and then we're going to need to trait that gear. You will start completely fresh, obtaining an item with one basic trait on it, and then you'll work from there, unlocking the traits, whether that's through trait unlock stones or obtaining a duplicate of that item and using it to unlock the trait on that new item. And you can then have 3 different traits and you can level each trait up to Tier 4, exactly like we currently can, and this is what a max traded out piece will look like. However, with Tier 2 around the corner, you want to make this far cheaper for yourself. And so this is where comes in the blessing stacking. But you may be wondering, what's the most efficient way to actually go about this? Personally, I'm working towards it bit by bit and pretty much doing it entirely for free. I already have like my wand over 3,300 blessings. You only need to get that to about 4,000. Same with my sword, that's over 2,300, and my armor pieces, I'm working on the blessings too. So how am I getting all of these? And I'm pretty much doing them for free, all of them over like 2,000 blessings each. Well, in order to make this as efficient as possible, you just want to be taking advantage of the way you play the game normally. You're going to get these abyss tokens when you're out there playing your dungeons, doing your Amatoy expeditions, doing your contracts. And all of those you then need to go and spend by farming in the open world dungeons. Right here, I'm in Silas Abyss. And with Spear Dagger, it's kind of insane. You can easily solo it all now. And you spend those tokens, you obtain a lot of rewards. That includes gear pieces. And you may see and experience that your inventory fills up with a ton of just trash blue gear. And well, you want to make use of that, and you want to be making it as efficient as possible and taking advantage of that before Tier 2 happens. Honestly, we should have been doing this from day one that the game even came out. So to make it very simple here, here's a full list of what I recommend. But let's go over and explain why. You need to get an item for each of your slots, and you're then going to feed all of that random garbage blue stuff that you obtain while burning your abyss tokens. You can see we'll select these pants. We can already feed in these 2 trash pants, but it requires me to already have this, say, ranged endurance trait to feed in those. I select my weapon here. I can feed in this health regen weapon, getting even more blessings. Feed in this health regen necklace. So the most efficient way is going to be taking advantage of gear that you can actually make use of all that trash items you're obtaining just by burning those abyss tokens, because they're very valuable. You need to be doing that in order to get all that resources, including these ores. So the super easy one is, say, the weapons. You're just going to be going to a guild merchant and you're just going to buy those blue weapons right there. They cost you 280 coins. Ideally, you're in an active guild, and you'll burn through like 10,000 of these pretty much per week. And that should easily get you enough of these coins, enough of these weapon chests to be able to keep feeding into your weapons. So the ideal weapons to feed into is the Liquirus Coveted Tome and the Sacred Manuscript. And the reason is because the possible traits that they can have. The Coveted Wand can have all of these, with the Manuscript having all of these. And both are super accessible weapons and take advantage of all the traits you're getting from those golem grinding weapons, all of which you're obtaining from these chests that you buy right here. So you'll simply have the Coveted Tome with your hit chance, heavy attack, and construct damage bonus, and then your Manuscript with the remaining max mana regen, and critical hit chance. And that covers all of those 6 different traits that you can possibly have on these weapons. So no matter which ones you're obtaining, you will be able to make use of all of these traits to feed them in and gain those blessing points. And that's the most efficient way with your weapons here. And be aware, the Liquirus Coveted Tome drops from this dungeon and is also craftable with salvation tokens. That manuscript is very simply going to come from those venom abominations, which you'll want to be killing while burning the abyss contract tokens. Because we jump back to this list and you can see farming the abominations is the next thing to do in order to get your legs, necklaces, and rings. And the gear pieces you want to have are the breeches of the executioner for the legs, because killing these abominations drops those blue leg pieces with all these possible traits, and then your breeches of the executioner can simply have every single one of those traits. So in order to make this the most efficient way, you simply get yourself 2 breeches of the executioner from your abyssal specters in like Shadowed Crypt, and you have all 6 traits unlocked across both of them. So no matter what pants you drop with any of those traits, you'll be able to feed them in and gain the blessing points. You're going to do the same with your necklaces. This time you're going to need 2 different ones. You're getting the spider silk collar just by killing those abominations. You're going to need the ivy necklace of wisdom for 3 of those traits, with like the clasp of the conqueror for the other 3. The ivy necklace very simply from just doing arena. Check your arena merchant with the clasp of the conqueror, very easily obtained through the crafter. For your rings, again, these abominations drop you an absolute ton of rings, and these are all the different traits that they can have. To make the most of them, you'll just need 2 granite bands with all those different traits unlocked. So no matter which ring you drop, you can always feed into it. But then we jump to Saurodoma Island. You'll be farming these reptilians, and you can cover your headpiece, arms, and bracelets here. You are going to need a different mix of gear pieces though. Killing these reptilian fighters will give that bracelet, and you can see all the different traits it can give. You're going to have to make use of the skillful charging bracelet, and then the bracers of unrelenting. Again, you need to get all of these 6 different traits, so no matter which bracelet you drop, you can always feed it in to one of those other purple ones. Then killing those reptilian lancers, you get these gloves. The Duskblood gloves have all of these traits, within the handguards of resistance having all of these traits. So you're going to need to mix and match with gear pieces like the Phantom Wolf gloves, the grips of the Executioner, the Gilded Raven grips, the Shadow Harvester grips, or even the heroic grips of the resistance. You can see them on the list here again, and yeah, there's a lot of options there, which is good, and you're ultimately just going to have to pick 2 of them. That's like one of these first 3, and then one of the second 3. You unlock the traits that you need based on these, so just try and get arms that cover all of the traits of these. Then with your headpiece, you're killing these reptilian sentries, getting this one. You can see all of those traits, and you're also killing these soldiers, and you get this one with all of those traits. You can simply have a mix of like the Phantom Wolf mask, or the Shadow Harvester mask, or the Gilded Raven mask, and you will also need then the Shock Commander one or the heroic one. Again, you try unlock all the traits that these different headpieces can drop, so no matter which you get, you can always feed it into these. But then you're left with kind of the finicky ones. They're not as easy to do. Like the Cloak, you can go and kill the Dark Assassins. These are going to be in your Shadowed Crypt, and they can drop with all of these different traits. You will just simply need like 2 Relentless Assault Cloaks, and that gives all the possible traits across every drop of these blue cloaks. It's just not so easy to say only farm these guys. Then there's like your feet. You could go to your Sanctum of Desire and just specifically farm these Avalos Geomancers. They'll drop those boots very often, and they simply come with all of these traits. You can take either the Shock Commander Sabatons, they have all the traits, or the Heroic Sabatons with all those traits. And then there's the belts. This is not really ideal as you're going into like a lower level area, unless you don't get as good drops by just specifically killing them. But belts are not so easy to farm, so you would get the ones from here, the Gladiator Girdles. You'd get all of those traits, and you will feed them into the Girdle of Spectral Skulls with the stun resistance and the petrification resistance. And you can have like debuff duration on there, and then you just need to get another belt that has like max health, health regen, and then like skill damage resistance. There's a lot of different ones you can have with that. And the hardest thing to do is your chest pieces. There's no easy way to farm them like in Abyss dungeons killing mobs, so you're just going to have to get lucky with drops from co-op dungeons, as that's generally where chest pieces will come from for the most part. And you will check auction house prices, and chest pieces will usually be the most expensive, and this is why. There is no easy way to farm the traits for them. You can't spend Abyss contract tokens to go to open world dungeons and just farm mobs. Yes, there are some mobs that do drop chest pieces, but the drop rates are so low that yeah, they're just not that great for the market, and you will have a lot harder time blessing stacking on them. And so you're simply going to set yourself up with that. This is like the most efficient way possible. You feed in all of that blue trash stuff that you obtain into those specific gear items, and you're simply just stacking blessings on them. You're simply clicking enchant here without spending any of those blessings. You do not click the use blessings. You're not trying to get it upgraded. You're trying for it to just fail. And when it fails, it gives you 40 more blessing points for every blue item. And so over time, you keep farming your dungeons, keep spending those tokens, you get more and more of those trash blue stuff, and you keep feeding it in. And that's very, very simply how you get blessings completely for free without paying a penny. And of course, you will sometimes collect some purple items that will be useful to you. And then I recommend saving those. For example, I get this belt with debuff duration. And if I'm going to need debuff duration in tier 2, I save this. And then I can simply use that to upgrade my item and combine it with the blessings I earned. And it costs me literally nothing to trait my tier 2 gear. The only difficult part will be unlocking the traits on that tier 2 gear. You're going to get your new item, and it's going to cost you to unlock them. Either a duplicate item with that trait unlocked already, or these trait unlock stones, which you want to be saving up. Personally, I've spent a bunch, and where I maybe shouldn't have, but over time we will get more and more unlock stones. We'll have more battle passes. Even through your lithograph book, if you start trading in stuff here, you can obtain an absolute ton of extra unlock stones. And also, you don't have to rush the new update. You can take your time. And even if tier 2 is out already, having this list, knowing what to farm, can be a huge help. But you will most likely want to be jumping to the 3 new open world dungeons and farming mobs there, getting gear drops, and so this will change a bit. So your transfer is very simply like this. You're going to have your current gear piece. You're going to transfer that into the trash item. That is what all of these are. These are considered the trash items that you obtained literally to just feed blue gear into them to obtain blessings. And then you're going to transfer that into your tier 2 item. Now, yes, in most cases here, you're going to have like 2 head pieces, 2 arms pieces, 2 bracelets, and that's perfectly fine. That means you don't have to, say, max everything out on there. And ultimately, you're trying to get about 4,000, just over 4,000 blessings on like your trash piece. At that point, you should have like most of the traits on it maxed out already, and then you can transfer your current piece of equipment into it, and then you transfer all of that to tier 2. If you want to be super efficient, then you need to calculate the amount of blessings you've obtained. You might have to transfer like into 2 trash pieces. So you have your current piece, you transfer it into your trash item, and then you transfer it into the next trash item, and then after that into the tier 2 item. That way you'll probably have enough blessings. But that's ultimately it. This is my guide exactly on what gear pieces to get to trade out to then be able to feed all that garbage blue stuff. You can already have yourself easily set up for this, and so whenever you go out there farming the open world dungeons, whenever you get a drop, you can simply feed those trash blue drops into those specific purple pieces in order to just get blessings. Again, that's the full list, and you pretty much just mainly want to farm abominations in your Silas Abyss and reptilians in Saurodoma Island, so anything basically. And after that, it's up to you if you want to specifically go for, say, Dark Assassins or Volos Geomancers or Living Armored Lancers in order to get your cloaks, feet, and belts done. Those are the hardest ones. And just doing co-op dungeons will also give you a whole load of gear here and trash blue stuff, which you'll also be able to feed in. You just can't farm it as much, and so it's pretty random what you get, and sometimes it might just not be useful to you at all. And if you do run into a trait that's not useful to you at all, you have the option, of course, selling it. And you also have the option to buy traits if you want and skip all this grind with, say, Lucent. Still recommend getting the blessings, but you wouldn't want to pay that much Lucent versus being able to just save that Lucent for tier 2 and buy the tier 2 traits, especially after a bit of time. But yeah, also save onto tier 1 gear that has traits you may need, like max health, endurance if you're going for an endurance build, and so on. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all around. Bye for now.